Hello everyone, welcome to this latest episode of New South Wales Bred, our show about the Breeders' Challenge series here in New South Wales. What a series we have had, and we have had an amazing week. We said last week it was going to be super busy. Well, it certainly delivered, and the results were amazing. Once again, an all-star panel for you. Michael Dumacy, Amanda Rando, welcome.
Good morning.
Hey, guys.
And we've got the king of the sulky himself. Welcome, Luke McCarthy.
Yeah, g'day, Paul.
Mate, so good to have you on the show. Hey, what a week we had, Michael. We kind of alluded to, we were at the business end. We G'd up Freddie Hastings. He went up a gear with his call, talking about it being the night before Christmas, last week's show, and it didn't disappoint, did it?
Definitely didn't disappoint, Paul. It was a great night's racing there. I had to watch from afar back in the lounge room at Parks, but what a great day. Like we had such a good day with the racing happening through the day with your Everest and whatnot. And then for us to be able to complement that and put the cherry on top with Breeders' Challenge semi-final action at Tabcorp Park, Menangle, was just awesome to sit back and watch, and a great spectacle that everybody put on there on Saturday night.
Mate, the Everest pales into comparison to what we delivered up. Amanda, we knew it was going to be good, but gee, it must have been good viewing there from the comfort of the lounge.
Yeah, it sure was. Just to see what those 2-year-olds are capable of, and running times close to breaking 150 was quite remarkable to see. So yeah, we're in for some mouth-watering clashes for the finals next week.
All right, well, let's get into it. And we start with the 2-year-old fillies there at Menangle on Saturday night. And Captain's Queen was sent out as an odds-on favourite. And Michael Dumacy, she was pretty slick, wasn't she? Just got to the front and just did the business.
Yeah, Brad Hewitt's got her going fairly well heading into a final. She looks like she will be the one to beat, along with Madrid. She was slick, like you said. She's a very nice filly. She's been set for this specifically by her original trainer, Russell Jack. Of course, she is up here with Brad now as a caretaker sort of a situation, but he knows what it takes, Brad Hewitt, to have a nice horse in the stable, and he's pretty bullish heading into the final. He thinks that they can go all the way with Captain's Queen.
Hey, look, you were on Let's Party Baby, and for a minute there, it looked like you were angling for a run, couldn't quite get out. You did this. You sort of hooked out late. Did you think you were a chance of nailing Captain's Queen there towards the end?
No, not really, Paul. She was actually a bit hot in the run, Let's Party Baby, and when they went so slow, you knew they were going to zip home in 26 something, and I sort of DJ looked to be angling out, so I was looking to get up the inside of him, and he was obviously keeping his filly down the track to hold his ground to make sure he held second. And then when I swung it to the outside of him, she just overreacted and went sideways a little bit too quick, more than I liked it to, probably because she was a bit strong on the bridle. But look, she held her ground well. She's a nice filly. She probably looks like she'll make a better 3- and 4-year-old, but she's definitely a place chance with the right draw.
When you go into a race like that, obviously you want to win the race, but part of it must be that you've got to qualify the horse for the final as well, because there's bigger fish to fry, I guess, down the track.
Oh, for sure. But, I think every race is a race you want to win, and essentially, you're trying to win. So if you don't win, usually the best fillies or colts will end up top 5 anyway. So, as you're seeing, they all run good times. It's a fortnight out, which is really good, I think, for the 2-year-olds. They've got a fortnight now. Even if they had a hard run, they'll all freshen up and be at their best for the final.
Amanda, we talked about Martini Stride and how good Martini Stride was through that heat in the qualification period, and she was really good in the semi-final too, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was actually the top 6 home in that semi-final all come home in 54. So quite remarkable for a 2-year-old fillies. So I think, don't quote me, but I think Martini Stride had the fastest last half in that race. So brave effort by her.
And Michael, we love the idea that the horses come out of the regions, and we had a couple that came out and filled those final qualifiers. And Amanda Turnbull just had one of those nights where she just did what she needed to do to get horses into the finals.
And they will be like typical Turnbull horses that do qualify for finals. They'll be right up and ready to go. Amanda, drove her horses to exactly how you just thought. She was able to get to the pegs and find the quickest way home. And they've all qualified and done their job. And good to see the horses from the regions. I see Mark Hewitt run third with Not to Be Denied also, who makes a final. He's from Grenfell, Mark, and the connections, the Gibson family will be more than excited to be there come Saturday week.
Amanda, if we look at the next semi-final, Madrid, through obviously barrier draw played a huge part in the heats, but Madrid was back, had to find a way to get to the lead and outlasted the rivals through the heat process. But this one played out really differently for Madrid, didn't it? Good off the arm, got to the front, never headed.
Yeah, that's one of her key assets is her gate speed, and that's what won her the race. There was some great tactical drives in the race. I thought Cameron drove a fantastic race in front, and Luke, I thought you drove a great race with Silk Cloud to finish second and hold in Miss X in that third position. So, yeah, Madrid, really nice filly, ran a PB. She went 152.3, and coming home in that last sectional in 26.4 just made it impossible for anything back in the field to get in the race. So, yeah, it was a great front-running drive by Cameron Hart.
Luke, Silk Cloud was pretty good. Like, you must go in, I don't know if you're going to retain the drive in the final with Silk Cloud. Maybe you can shed some light on that. You qualified too. But Silk Cloud was, showed a lot of promise going into a final.
Yeah, she was really good, Paul. She's a lovely filly. I drove her in the pink bonnet earlier in the season when she won, and Higgsy decided to send her down, for this series just to have her based in Sydney, so it's not as much travel on her, and work her along with some other horses, and she raced super on the weekend. Done a little bit of work early to get a forward spot. Finished off the race really good. So look, Madrid's high class filly, very versatile, doesn't have to lead. We've seen her come off the pace. She was super, and Miss X is obviously a very talented filly, good speed filly. Looks to be sit sprinter, but look, you'd imagine out of the two, Captain's Queen and DJ's filly, and those three, one of them five will win the final.
So which one are you going to drive in the final?
Silk Cloud.
Yep. Okay. Michael, Miss X is one that we've talked about a fair bit through this show as the weeks have gone on, and she's been a real roller coaster ride, but just keeps delivering. And Amanda alluded to the squeeze being on Miss X, couldn't get a run. Might have been the hard luck story in this run, but if you're an owner, I reckon you're pretty happy going into the final.
Yeah, she was good, Miss X. She, like you said, she's had a bit of a roller coaster ride. A good drive by Luke to keep her in that pocket coming down the line, and Madrid was just doing her best. But out of that race, I really liked the run of Silk Cloud. I think she is one of the ones to beat come the finals. And Tony Higgs and his wife Leanne, they're real battlers from out the west out here in the Bathurst area. They have won a size stakes before with Hannah McKenzie, as we alluded to last week on the show. But I think I really do think that Silk Cloud can be a major player come that final. Like Luke said, you've got that top five heading into the final. But I think if Silk Cloud can draw an alley, there could be a little bit of a minor upset on the cards. But yeah, Miss X good. She'll be a lot better coming into the final also. And
we had a couple from the regions. We own a misfortune for Matty Rue and Steph, the one that Mitch Turnbull's named after his girlfriend, made it through too, Michael.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that, Mitch, getting one through to the final. He actually he's put in an early order for a box of Pluto pups to celebrate making the final. That's what he said to me. That's his celebratory food when he does make a final to get on the Pluto pups. It's a bit weird, which Mitchie can be, but it's good to see him make the final with that filly, and also Matty Rue with We Own a Misfortune. I think they're going to be both two fillies that are very strong come through a little bit later on in the season when it comes to the regional finals.
All right, well, we'll stick with you because your favourite horse won the next one, My Ultimate Ronnie, in the 2-year-old Colts and Geldings. You are forming an absolute man crush on My Ultimate Ronnie, aren't you?
Yeah, he's a very nice horse, My Ultimate Ronnie. I'm a bit of a fan of the fact that I think if he does draw well in a final and he draws inside Byron, that if he could maybe find his way to the pegs and sit on Byron, I think he's a real legitimate chance of upsetting the apple cart. It won't be an upset for the stable or for the connections. They'd be happy either way. But I just thought the way he pulled off small tees and really hit the line there in that semi-final, he's going to be a major player. Like, to go 150 and change, and he looked really strong on the line. I think there could be a minor upset there, and it just comes down to barrier draws, and of course Jared keeping his powder dry with who's going to drive Ronnie, with Cam already committing to Byron.
I mean, no horse has just clung to the series more than probably Small Tees has. We talked about a roller coaster before for Miss X. Roller coaster's probably underselling it for Small Tees. It'd be brave to put a red pen through Small Tees, but it really did look like a tired horse there towards the back end of that race.
Yeah, I think the benefit for him going into the final is having that week between runs. I think he's really going to need it, as you alluded to. He's had a rough preparation into this Breeders' Challenge series. Nothing, you can't take anything away from him. He said all the tempo in front and all the horses that beat him across the line all came from the pegs. The winner, though, My Ultimate Ronnie, I'm not taking anything away from him. He did that with a lot of class. He crossed the line. Is pricked. I spoke to Jared and Cameron after that race, and they were both wrapped with the horse. He won with his earplugs still in, so he went 150.4. So he's Australia's fastest 2-year-old this season. He doesn't hold the Australasian record, which some publications have put out there. That's still held by Barroom Banter, but. My Ultimate Ronnie, I think Mick Dummersey hit the nail on the head. I think he can be a real huge threat in this series.
Luke, your horse off your Rocker Crocker, some gave it a chance of qualifying and probably the market reflected that. Can you talk us through the race?
Yeah, he was playing, Paul. He was quite good at Penrith when he ran second behind Ultimate Ronnie, and but he just raced average, and I think Mick Doldoff sort of mentioned that he'd probably put him in the paddock. He'd just probably come to the end of his preparation.
Okay. St. Crusader and All Stars Frankie, Michael Dummersey made it through in that one too?
Yeah, Clayton has he's got 3 into the final. I'm pretty sure Clayton Harmony, which is a good effort. He said at the start of at the very start of the 2-year-old campaign, he said that he had his best bunch of 2-year-old that he's ever had, Clayton, and it has been a focus of his to be able to get them through, buy them from the yearling sales and get them through to this point. So when a plan comes to fruition, it's quite good, and he'll be grinning, Clayton. And also All Stars Frankie, he done what he had to do. He looked a place chance at the top of the straight, but just couldn't quite stick on. He won a Tatlow Stakes down at Menangle earlier on in his 2-year-old campaign, and with draws, they're all top 5 chances coming into a final.
Hey, Luke, Cameron Hart can't drive both of them, My Ultimate.
Chris Geary, I presume, will be driving him. Chris has done a lot of driving for Scotty and Jared, and I think he's probably, if Chris gets to drive it, I think he's on the winner. I really like My Ultimate Ronnie. His run at Penrith was super. Obviously, as Mickey mentioned before, it will come down to draws. You got Byron and Small Tees, them aggressive front-running horses, whereas Ronnie's he can lead as well, like he did at Penrith. But he's versatile. If them two go at it, I think Ronnie's the best driver.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if horses feel pressure at all, but surely My Ultimate Byron must be starting to feel a little bit of pressure. The amount of hype about My Ultimate Byron, but it's justified. And got to the front, stuck there, kept going. Michael, it just keeps delivering the business, doesn't it?
Yeah, he just keeps on keeping on, Paul. The one thing I was a little bit concerned about was he did want to hook onto the bit early doors, and Cam had a real fight to try and get him back under grips. Come a grand final day, if things do get heated between him and Small Tees, which could happen quite definitely, if he does hook onto the bit, that's going to be the biggest concern. I think he might be a chance of just losing a little bit of that energy that he could have up his sleeve. I wasn't convinced with his heat win. I thought he was good, but I just wasn't quite convinced. It's just something there that's telling me that maybe he's come to his grand final a little bit too early, Byron, but he's still a very nice horse. Pressure is going to be there, but Yeah, there's just something there. I just don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that fact that he did get stirred up in that run.
Geez, Luke, Michael Dumacy's a hard judge, isn't he? What more can Mortimer Byron do? He won everything.
Yeah, he's an absolute machine. He, Jared and Scotty brought really well at sales last year. Had a great season with their 2-year-olds, and Byron's done nothing wrong. He gets a little bit aggressive. That's the Sun Beach coming out in him, but that's a Sun Beach trait, and they're better off just running along, and he just keeps getting the job done. So it will come down to draws, but I think one of those, Ronnie or Byron, will probably be the winner.
Amanda, last week you and Fred Hastings were talking up Dougie Sloy, and talked about that as a pretty obvious Quinella, if not exactor, in that race, and that's how it played out. Dougie Sloy was pretty good, eh?
Yeah, he sure was. He fought to the line well. I like the way he found the line. But yeah, the winner was just too good in my eyes. I spoke to Jared, as I mentioned earlier, and his rap on My Ultimate Byron was that they've tried to relax the horse in the past, but they're actually quite happy for him to race a bit revvy, especially going into the final over the mile. So he's quite confident. He's a horse that could break 150. Cam Hart said My Ultimate Ronnie could have broken 150 the other night if you let him go. So there's going to be some huge fireworks come that final.
Oh, it's going to be a firecracker indeed. I mean, the hard luck story was Blake Jones. He come all this way with I'm in trouble, and the horse gallops at the barrier and was out of play very early. Had to feel sorry for Blake, who's obviously been on this show and been very good to us through the Breeders' Challenge series. Luke, you had Mahomes. There's been so much hype about Mahomes for a period of time, but was pretty plain in this one.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to say plain, Paul, but just more he made a mistake. He revved out in the heat on the Tuesday and flew out of a wide gate, and just going to the gate on Saturday night under lights. Predominantly, a lot of his races had been in the daytime. He's just a bit too stirred up and wanted to charge the gate and made a mistake.
Well, I saw his namesake throw intercept after intercept in the NFL the other day anyway, so it might have been the week for it for the Mahomes camp. Hey, let's have a look ahead at the semi-finals that we've got this weekend, because the 3-year-old series is really heating up. And, we saw some great action last Saturday night with the 2-year-olds, but the 3-year-olds promises to deliver just as much. And sending out a favourite in the first semi-final for the Colts and Geldings is Tishan Raider for Harry Martin and Glenn McElhenney. Michael, Tishan Raider has really emerged over the past 2 months or so.
Yeah, we were speaking just before we come on air about how Tishan Raider going back 18 months ago was probably the boom 2-year-old in Australia at the time. He was running some incredible mile ratings at the trials, and then he come to race day and he just couldn't quite get the job done. But speaking to Glenn McElhenney, he said the horse has sort of grown into his frame. He's matured a lot, and he should be favourite there in that heat. Although Bahrain Banner, Luke's aboard Bahrain Banner, he's going to have something to say about that. You don't break the track record at Leeton as a 3-year-old and do what he's done without being a very nice horse. And you've also got other horses in the heat. You've got the Stain, who's been good down around the Wagga area. Cassius Deck's done nothing wrong out at Bathurst, and a horse even like Cashed Up and Gordon's Bay. It's a really good heat. It's just quality right across the board, and I think the barrier draw is going to be a big player once the gates do leave.
Hey, Luke, Bahrain Banner was great for us in the publicity of this series because he came out in the very first race of the series, broke the track record at Leeton and got it off to a cracking start. Now, you sat back on the in the cart with Bahrain Banter there the other night. You'd driven him before, but it had been a while between drives. Was it just like jumping on the bike and doing the business again?
Yeah, he felt really good, Paul. He was brilliant last year through this series. He went back to Melbourne after the Breeders' Challenge when he won that, and he for the Breeders' Crown, he got sick. Mick had a few issues with him, and he'd sort of had a good break, and he took him to Queensland. Probably just a little bit not ready for the Queensland Derby, but Mick seemed to think that the trip away was the making of him. It really sort of tightened him up and seasoned him up. So come out late and went super. Had a run last Tuesday, just felt terrific. So he's I think he feels like he's back to his best.
You on the winner?
Oh, look, I think barrier draws, again, are very important. Tishan Rader's got as much gate speed as him, and he's drawn better than us this week. So, look, he's going to be very hard to beat. And barring being he'll sort of have to put himself in the race anyway. But, look, we'll get a good guide on where they're both at after Saturday night, I think.
Hey, Amanda, one horse we've talked about a fair bit through this show, but just felt slightly off the pace is Rocket Boy. I mean, Rocket Boy's qualified, hasn't won since August, but put 3 in a row together back then. You can flick the switch. Is Rocket Boy a chance in this?
Definitely. He will come into barrier 1 if the first emergency is removed. And, a peg run following the horses like Tishan Raider and Barroom Banter will take him right into the race. He's had to do a lot of work himself in the heats. They might even try and hold the lead with him from barrier 1. He definitely has the gate speed. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do there. But from his draw, he has a lot of options, and I think he'll definitely run top 4.
Well, we've talked about Michael Dumacy's other man, Crush the Stain, as well. He's mentioned that. So that's in there. Right? That'll be a cracking semi-final. If we have a look to the next one, Captain Crusader's all the rage for Ricky Olsen, Michael.
I'm thinking fireworks early here in the second heat. You've got High Voltage drawn out in gate number. Well, he'll come into gate number 9 with the emergencies coming out, thinking that the emergencies do come out. And you've got Captain Crusader drawn down in gate number 7. He'll come into a lower draw also. But I'm just thinking they're going to go hard early here, and it could set up for one that's just going to tuck in behind them. They're 2 very nice horses. Don't get me wrong, Captain's Crusader and also High Voltage, but I think the fireworks could be on early, and maybe a horse that could tuck in, maybe a Pops Boy, or just going through them, even a horse like Sunshine Pepper, who's drawn the widest. If Rod Atkins decides to come across with High Voltage, could tuck in behind them. But it's a heat that's probably not as strong as the first heat, but I still think they'll go some electric time.
Luke, you're on electric eye. I ran second to High Voltage in the heats. Can you get the better of him this time?
I don't think so, Paul. High Voltage looks really good. His form's been terrific since he came up and joined Grimo. I've driven Captain Crusader. He's a better horse than Electric Eye. I think they're clearly the best 2 in the race. They'll run the Quinella. They're just a step above the others. Our fella's gate speed. Hopefully we can get into third.
Honesty, I love it. We bring honesty to the show, don't we? It's beautiful. Hey, Amanda, we've talked about a fairy tale story for Adam Regari in 3 in Heaven qualifying. It's a fantastic outcome for Adam.
Yeah, it certainly is, and he's drawn well for this semi, which is fantastic. He should come out of barrier 2 with the removal of that emergency. But yeah, it was a very emotional heat win at Newcastle last week. He led all the way, and obviously Adam, that was his first start for Adam. Adam took over the training of that horse from his grandfather, who sadly passed away just a few weeks ago. So yeah, I'm sure there was plenty of tears at Newcastle that night.
All right, let's have a look at the fillies. Excuse me, Chrissy Chick, odds on, qualified at Penrith back in week 2 and got the better of Antonia in that one, which was a race that we put a lot of hype around ourselves. Michael, Chrissy Chick, thoughts on this one?
I think she just wins Chrissy Chick in this heat, Paul. She'll push forward. She's got the gate speed. Cam will put her into the race, and it could be another big night for Cam Hart. Looking at this fillies heat, I think she can lead and win. I like just a one at a bit of smoky odds that we might be able to just chuck into some multiples here. Number 1, which is Infinity Beach. Now, she runs second behind Winona Ryder in her heat, but she's going to get the lovely run in behind them here, drawn in gate number 1. And if she does sneak along the pegs there, I definitely think she's a top 3 chance at the odds.
Amanda, Winona Ryder's going for 6 out of 6 for Bernie Hewitt.
Yeah, correct. She's won 5 in a row now. This is obviously her biggest test to date. She has raced at Menangle before. She has gone around the 54 mark, so she can do it. She's drawn ideally. She's drawn in 5, so I think she'll get a good position from that draw in that race. I think though Chrissy Chic, I think she'll be far too strong, despite drawing, outside the outside draw. I think she's a very classy filly.
I've got this one as probably one of the more open races on the program, and Luke, we haven't had many upsets through the Breeders' Challenge Series, but the one we nearly got was when Glamour Fox nearly rattled home at $61 there at Menangle on the last day of qualifying. It's in this race. Any chances that something beats Chrissy Chick in this one?
No, I don't think so, mate. I think Chrissy Chick just wins. She brings her form that she's had. She just wins. And like you mentioned, I think Glamour Fox with a sneaky run on the pegs there, she looks a really good place chance.
Okay, I might put a bit of value in it for the exotics for the punters out there. Look, you're on the odds-on favourite in the other semi-final with Antonia. As we said, Antonia got rolled in the heats of this series. Had to do it the hard way and go out and qualify for David Thorne there at Menangle, but did the business and now goes around at odds-on favourite. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, she felt really good last week, Paul. I know she got beat at Penrith, but Thorny had mentioned in the press that he hadn't been that overly happy with her. He changed a couple of things around, and she come out and trialled really nice behind Expensive Ego and Lineup, who have both franked the form. They come out and won their races since the trial, and then she come out went good on the Tuesday. So she's back where she needs to be. Thorny's a great trainer. He'll have her spot on coming into this race, and I'd presume she'll improve again off that heat run into the semi. So she looks very hard to beat.
Okay. Amanda, Antonia was the result we didn't see coming through the heats, but goes around odds on in this one. Can anything potentially pop up? Maybe one of the regional horses.
I agree with Luke. I think we're going to see a better Antonia again this Saturday night. She had a month between runs with her two heats. So I think she'll show a lot more improvement from that last run she just had. Danger-wise for me, I think Ballerini for Bernie Hewitt, she's been running some sensational races. The first emergency is already out of that race, so she definitely comes into two. She might even come into barrier one. And the other one is Max Legacy. She's been super consistent and driven with a cold sit on a horse like Antonia. She could be a huge danger. But, yeah, they're the two threats to Antonia for me, but I still think Antonia will be too good.
Okay, well, we saw Max Legacy get past Antonia in the heat, so it's not as far-fetched as some might think. Hey, that's the preview of the semi-finals, which promised to be an outstanding card. Michael Dumpsey, you got any big predictions for us? You're pretty good last week. You steered the punters into something at pretty juicy odds.
Yeah, we found head turner last week, Paul, at Wagga. She goes around in the semi-final behind Antonia. I can't predict any miracles there. Look, I think it's pretty straightforward heading into the semi-finals. I like Antonia. I like Chrissy Chick. Captain Crusader, High Voltage. They probably look to battle that one out there, but if you're looking to play something at the each way, maybe Sunshine Pepper, who's flying at the moment for Rod Atkins, just draws bad in gate number 12. And in the other heat, I can't see the winner coming outside of Tishan Raider or Baroon Banner, but we'll give the Stain a little cheer. I know Luke's got a bit of a soft spot for the Stain by being by For a Reason. He's great Stain. And just a question to Luke, being a breeder in New South Wales yourself, Luke, having all the stallions there at Cobbity Equine, it must be great for you to just look over this series and go through and see all of these stallions performing with their progeny throughout the series.
Oh, for sure, Mick. It's it's a real thrill to see. Especially like For a Reason, his 3-year-olds, just going so well. And when he can come up with some good horses like the Stain and them sort of the like and be really competitive in these group races, that's what you're doing it for. So, to see now horses that we've trained and driven in the past, go off to stud and be able to drive and race against their progeny is a huge thrill.
Hey, Luke, surely if you drive Antonia to a win this week, thought he's going to find it pretty hard to kick you out of the seat, isn't he?
No, Jack will get the drive back. He unfortunately got suspended, and Thorny called me to say, could I fill in, for Jack through the heats and semis. Obviously, it's his drive. He's done such a good job on the filly. Won New South Wales Oaks, Bathurst Gold Chalice. So, look, I was more than happy, and it's a privilege to drive these good horses and just to fill in and hopefully get the job done and get her through to the final for the boys.
Where does that leave you then for the final if you're not going to be on Antonia?
I would imagine I'll be just watching that one, Paul. Most of these sort of races are clear cut who's driving them, pretty well. They've stuck with it, especially babies. You sort of try and form the driver to, get a relationship with them, the horses, to steer them through the season. So, look, most of them have pretty much all established their drives, and I've still got some good drives for the series. I think Barrow and Banner and Silk Cloud are great chances, so we're looking forward to just being a part of the series.
Amanda, you got a bold prediction for us for this weekend?
I sure do. It is Barroom Banter. I like the odds of $2.60 with tab.com.au. I know he's drawn wide, but I think this horse is capable of breaking 150 at Menangle. He went so close as a 2-year-old last year, and he just loves New South Wales. He still hasn't faced defeat in all of his starts in New South Wales. So, we've got the Menangle's top driver, Luke McCarthy, on board, and I think the horse has just had a perfect preparation into this race. So he's my bold prediction for Saturday night.
I think Luke's given us several predictions throughout already this show, so I won't go to him for one out of the box. While I got you though, Luke, once we get through the Breeders' Challenge Series, the Inter Dominion's not that far away. You've got the leading hope, the top-ranked horse, King of Swing. How's the King going?
Yeah, he's great, Paul. He's just had 10 days off after the Victorian Cup. The plan was if he went to the Vic Cup, he'd always have another break, just a small break after that, and get set for the Inters. If the Vic Cup didn't work out, we probably would have went to the Len Smith Mile, either or. So, he had a crack at the Vic Cup, had a horror draw, went huge. He's had a short break now, so he'll just be set for the Inters. He'll probably have a run a fortnight before the heat start, but he's in great order and really looking forward to the series coming up.
And I know you were driving that night at Menangle, and while the race was on in Victoria, how did it feel seeing David Moran go around on your horse?
Oh, it's fine, Paul. It's he's a great driver, and he couldn't do anything from the draw as it was, and they just went so fast, and the horse raced amazing. So look, he went great. Of course, you'd like to be driving them horses in the big races whenever we can, but now, hopefully, with all the vaccinations and restrictions starting to ease, we can be a part of all the big carnivals all over Australia again. And but the most important one's coming up on our doorstep, the Inter Dominion. So I'm just really glad it's at home this year, and we've got some really good chances, going into the series. And
with that being at home, it's pretty much in your own backyard. You got the leading hope. Mate, are you starting to really feel the hype and the excitement around the Inter Dominion?
Oh, for sure. It's it's our Melbourne Cup of harness racing. It's the race we all grew up wanting to win. Obviously, Inter Dominion and Miracle Mile, they're the mecca, and the fact that it's at home this year, it's now it's going to be a great series, and there's always so many good trainers and drivers involved and horses. So, we're looking forward to it.
Fantastic, mate. So good to have you on the show. Thanks for giving up your time to do this. I reckon you're going to qualify a handful of really good hopes for the Breeders' Challenge Series finals there this weekend. Obviously, you got some good hopes in the 2-year-olds as well. So you got a big few weeks ahead of you. Thanks for your time, Luke. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, guys. And Breeders' Challenge always a great time of year, and great racing. So, and also the Len Smith Mile as well on the card, and some good under races away from the final. So, it's always a great night of racing, and we're really looking forward to being a part of it, and hopefully I've got some good winning chances.
Fantastic. I'm sure you do. Michael Dumsey, Amanda Rando, thanks for your time this morning. To everyone out there watching, we've got some big news, and we're going to announce it with some greater pizzazz over the coming days. But you'll be able to watch all the 3-year-old semi-finals this weekend on the Harness Racing New South Wales YouTube and Facebook page, as well as the Sky Active. It's new ground. We'll be live streaming for the first time. So new territory. We're really excited about it, and we hope that you people out there who are tuning in really enjoy it. To everyone watching this show, thanks for giving up your time to experience a little bit more about the Breeders' Challenge Series. We really are getting up to the pointy end of the series. We're excited to bring it to you, and let's hope all those horses and drivers get around safe and we get some great winners. So we'll catch you next week, and we'll have a look back at the 3-year-old semi-finals and look ahead to the finals next week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.